you guys, it's Felix here, Capital Fishing. Today I thought I'd just show you how to tie up a long cast rig for your surf casting. It's a really great sort of rig for achieving maximum distance. Well, the two benefits are that you're gonna achieve a lot more distance with it as the bait's tucked in behind the sinker, and also that you can have a whole heap of pre-tied traces, which makes it really easy to clip on and clip off and change baits and spend time on your bait presentation. So what we're going to do here is grab our backbone, usually about 80 pound for the backbone. I don't think there's one weight you have to do. You can use whatever your wish is suitable. I usually use about a 60 or 80 pound for the backbone. So we're going to start with the uni knot, tying the first swivel on. Just create that loop with that tag end, go through that loop 4 times, hold the tag end. Now you want to lubricate your line and the knot, so I just usually run it through my mouth like so, and then just draw that up nice and firm like so. Cut off your tag end. Now I usually make them about 700 long. Yeah, about 700 long, 800 long. Cut that off. So at the moment we just got the swivel all the way down to your backbone. Now what you want to do is you want to get some small glow beads or some little hard beads like this, and runaway bead, grab one of these, put your line through it, and then grab another swivel and another bead like so, which now means you have one fixed swivel and one free running swivel like so. And a couple of beads just to sort of not allow this running swivel to slide down on top of your fixed swivel, but also just gives the knot a bit of protection so this swivel is not pulling up against the knot. So what we have here is your fixed swivel, your bead, your running swivel, and another bead. Now at the end of our backbone, what we're going to do is tie on a imp clip, which again we use a uni knot for. So push it through the imp clip, then with that tag end create a loop, go through that loop 3-4 times, hold that tag end, draw it up, and then remember to wet the line just to lubricate it and make it tie up nice and tight, not burn the line. Cut your tag end off. So now we've got our backbone. Got fixed swivel, bead, running swivel, another bead, and then down to our imp clip, which is where you're going to clip your hook into, and also your sinker goes on there like so. Now that we've done that, we'll get onto a couple of traces. The great thing about this rig is that you can have quite a few traces made up with different sort of hook and bead combinations, and be really effective in when you do have a bite time to really maximise it by having your baits well presented on ones that you've got in your chili bin, and therefore get a much better hook up rate when you get that bite. So we'll start with a hook and a uni knot again. So through the eye of the hook with that tag end, create a loop, go through that loop 1, 2, 3, 4 times, hold that tag end, draw that up, run it through your mouth to just lubricate the knot, draw that up nice and firm, cut your tag end off, and then I make the trace about 300-ish long. cut it there. Now this is where you can now just experiment, and there's no right or wrong way to. Right, so now what we're going to do is tie on our clip. We use these fast link clips, I find really good. Now this bit here, this little hook, how it hooks back, that's where you're going to pull your swivel onto, like so, off your backbone. So what you need to make sure is that when you're tying it to your trace, you tie it at the right end, which is this end here. Again, we're just going to do a uni knot. So create a loop, and then with that tag end, we go through that loop 3 or 4 times. Then we draw that up, lubricate the line a bit, draw that up nice and tight, and there we have our trace. Now it's really good being able to unclip the trace from the backbone, leaving your backbone attached to your main line. What it means is if you get into a little hot bite of fish, you can actually, if you hook a fish, bring it in, you can unclip this, throw it up by your chili bin, get one of your other pre-baited traces, and run back down, clip it on, and fire that out, and you're maximising your time of a bait in the water. And sometimes some of those bite times can be quite short, and you might only have a 20-minute window, and if it takes you 10 minutes normally to try and rebait and sort this out and sort that out, well, you've missed half your bite time, which is not ideal. So it's another really great feature of these. So if we jump back to the backbone here, we had that fixed swivel, and we had a bead, a running swivel, and another bead, and then down to the imp clip, which our sinker is attached to. So the running swivel is the one that goes to your rod, so we'll pull that out over here, and then the fixed swivel is what goes onto your clip, like so. Now what happens here is this clips into here and is held under tension and is nicely tucked in behind your sinker. What that means is that because your bait's tucked in behind the sinker's a bit bigger and creates a little wind pocket, meaning it's a lot more aerodynamic, and means you're going to cast a lot further because it's all streamlined. If you imagine on a normal ledger rig, or you find your baits out the side and it's just helicoptering around, which is creating a lot of friction and a lot of drag, which in turn is reducing your casting distance. Now when that hits the water pressure on the paddle pops that hook up, and then it runs back up to your running swivel up the top end. So effectively what will happen is that's how it's going to be in the water. That'll be on your main line, and then your bait's going to be out here. What's quite handy with this rig as well is you can get some quite big floats, or put 3, 4 or one big float on, and actually float your bait up off the bottom quite a bit, especially when there's a lot of lice or crabs around. Can make a really big difference to how long your baits last, and therefore your catch rate. So that's another really great thing about these rigs, is that it does hold your bait off the bottom, and also being a running rig, it does move around and quite freely and naturally. These imp clips again, or long splashdown clips, there's a few different varieties. There's also one called an impact shield. I find these two are the two that I like using, with probably the imp clip being my preferred one, even though every now and then you get one or two and it detaches during the cast, but I just find I have less problems and it always releases. This one here is a much more secure way, or much more secure one. So this one, the sinker comes off this end here, you pull it on there, but what it does is if we grab a hook and we just lie it in here, and I pull this down, which is what you have to do when you set it, you can see in the gap there, there's no way that that hook's going to come out at all, because it's literally locked in by a piece of little metal shim that sort of comes down. Now, like with the imp clip, when this hits the water, it pushes up and kicks the hook out, which means it's a pretty fail-safe sort of clip down splash down clip to use on your long cast rigs. What can happen sometimes is you can get a bit of sand and grit or gravel in there, so you just need to be wary of that and dip it in your bucket and just wash out that grit and sand if need be, to make sure that it is free, so when it does hit the water, it is going to push your hook out freely, and you're not going to end up with your hook stuck in there and then fishing for 20 minutes and then getting a bite, missing the bite, going, oh, what the hell happened, wind in and find your hook still locked in there. So yeah, really good clips or splashdown clips and in clips to use for distance casting rigs, and also making it really nice and easy to have half a dozen or a dozen rigs made up and be able to pay a lot of attention to your bait presentation, and also be really efficient when you do get into your bite time. So if you need any help or have any questions, just give us a ring or message us on Facebook or Instagram on Capital Fishing. Otherwise, pop in the store if you live in Wellington, or if you're in town for a while. Sometimes it's easier, and I myself find it easier to see things in practice and then have a go myself, and it's a lot easier to learn sometimes as opposed to watching videos. So feel free to get in touch, and we'll see you on the next one.